Hello and welcome to another video tutorial. Okay, so now I've turned my voice monitor off because it really fucks with my head. Excuse my language. Today I'm going to be taking a quick look at Adobe Premiere Elements 10. I am used to working with some quite high-end video editing software like well, really I've used them all. I've used Vegas, Lightworks, Final Cut, Premiere, Pro, the lot really. But it's good to just take a check and I can't afford one of those big name editors right now for home use, so I've just purchased Premiere Elements 10 from the App Store because it's very reasonably priced there. So let's have a look. Well, one of my major concerns with Premiere Elements is that on first impression you don't really get it so much. It's like you boot it up and you're confronted with this white screen here. This quickly goes away when we just start up a new project. We can change our settings here. We've got quite a lot of popular video formats and codecs to choose from while working, which is nice. There's all the common ones there. I would say that this software is definitely an upscale from something like iMovie or any of the other consumer video editing programs out there. Okay, so I'm just gonna open up just a standard DV project and asks us to give us a name here, so I'm just gonna name it Premtute. Okay. It takes a second there. Okay, so we're confronted with this timeline and a viewer and everything you would expect from a video editor. On a whole, I like the timeline. If we just go ahead and interesting little thing there. Capture presets right in there in the import. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to create a default rolling title. And it opens us up quite a nice title generator. And we can, of course, go in and change things and the such. So I'm just going to hit here, my movie. Kind of misspelled, but it's fine. Let's just hit up editor. Me, of course. It's a cut down version of Premiere's titler. I would say that this titler is a pretty prosumer titler, actually. Not fully professional, not something that you'd expect off, for instance, Apple's titling software, or even indeed the internal in Premiere Pro, but it does the trick. I mean, it's better than the internal titling in Final Cut used to be. I mean, just even a year back or so. back with Final Cut Studio 2, the internal titler in Final Cut was, well, horrific. It was not a graphical interface at all. Yeah, so this is nice. I like this. Okay, let's look into some of the more advanced features. My only gripe with the timeline really is that even though your time stretch, your pan, your trims, and tracking and whatever are all in there, just like you'd expect of any professional editor, really. And it's a cut down tool set, but it'll do. I mean, you can't really do roll edits and stuff with this, but you know, if you're just slicing and simply doing A/B roll editing, it's nice. The only gripe with it is that the audio channels and the video channels aren't actually separated from each other. Now, in a more professional editor, excuse me, I need a drink. Better. These would be separated off because you would want to sort out an audio mix separately from your video mix. So isolation between those two is, for a more professional editor, I would say preferred, but it's fine. Again, we can just play by hitting spacebar, and that's not rendered, so it's kind of small. We can just hit render. Render speeds are quite quick. I mean, again, they're not like what you would expect from something maybe a little better, but for the price, £54 I paid for this, it's not bad, and we can indeed do things with it. I mean, it's a powerful editor. Plays through. We just go ahead here and I mean, it even goes as far as we can add in bars and tones. Which will just nudge up against what you're working on. One of the other small gripes I have with this software is it does strange things in the timeline here. Yeah, I mean, you probably can't hear this now because I don't think I'm recording it, but this is in fact playing out a bleep tone, and I'm just gonna bypass it. It does kind of do some irritating auto chops on your clips as well. There may be a way of customizing this, I'm not sure yet. But I'm just gonna add in a color matte. Ooh, another good thing is if you look at it in this view, it doesn't look like a very powerful bin system, which is the default bin system. But if you just go ahead and tick over to here to a list view, just to add in a titles folder as you would, and a mattes. I haven't yet tested with a yellow splash drop there. I haven't yet tested with image mats, but I'm hoping that they will work. Very much so. Yeah, so if I'm just gonna go ahead and just to show you another feature rather. I'm gonna add in another title, and I'm just gonna go, "Hey there, baby." Hey there, baby. He. Again, it's just a tiny bit laggy and just a little unresponsive, but I really can't believe that you're gonna get better for the money. At least I haven't, at least while doing my research anyway and using the tryouts and stuff I tried, I didn't see anything that even kind of touched the on paper feature set of this edit for, again, the money. And unfortunately, Lightworks is not an option for me right now in this system, as EditShare has been really messing its customers around on the Mac and Linux releases. I mean, they said that they were going to bring it to us like 2 years ago now, and it simply hasn't materialized. I mean, personally, as a professional standard editor, I've been kind of appalled by this company's conduct with this, because they said, we're going to open source it, we're going to get the community involved, we're going to get Mac, Linux, Unix support, we're going to rework the code base, and honestly, they haven't done any of that. All they've done is reskin some old software. And yeah, so people, if you're waiting on Lightworks, I have a lot of respect for the Lightworks code base, which is why I would still list it as a viable editor to people, and I will mention it as something to consider. But my personal opinion is, don't deal with EditShare, and if you want Lightworks, go download Lightworks, but just don't expect support for the software or just reasonable conduct from the company, because they're not going to give it to you. Premiere or Avid will be a much better solution for you, if that's what you're looking for. But anyway, back to Premiere Elements, and off my personal gripe with EditShare. If anyone from EditShare watches this, take note. This is how you keep, good people happy. So now, in Premiere Elements, I see what's happening. It's a video glitch. Okay, so it's glitchy. This is a different matter. It's glitchy. Maybe I'll get a bug fix. I hope I'll get a bug fix. Okay, so we go back into the title here. Properties. No? See, we do have quite a lot of options to explore. Also, we do actually, it's not there, but if you like to set ins and outs on a clip-based system, it is here for you. It's just slightly under the hood, and you need to open up the viewer for each clip, but other than that, okay. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add an effect onto this. What effect to choose? going to spherize it. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'll add some lens flare. Lens flare is always fun. Wait. Where's my lens flare? Okay, so apparently it's there. So if we go into edit effects here and click the little stopwatch thing up here, we actually find some very, very, very promising under the hood features here, and this is one of the key things that I will look for in a video editor. This is what Avid, Final Cut, Premiere Pro, they all use this system of doing things. Perhaps it's not flaring because I'm trying to go on white. Maybe if I drag this lens flare over to... Okay, I can't do that. It's not that advanced. So I'm just going to cut these off. So we do here actually have this little tool here. Now, one of the great things about this is we do have a keyframe interface. Here we go. And if we actually come here and we turn keyframing on, we can find that, as with any professional editor, we have a completely keyframeable interface. So if we wanted to go here, see, we've just by enabling keyframe, we've added a row of keyframes. So if we wanted to add another keyframe at radius and just set our radius here to 0, it's going to bring it back to normal. So if we just play this, well, we need another render. It's not a real-time editor, so you are going to have to render stuff. I prefer rendering stuff because it's just nicer than real-time in the way that what you see is actually what you get. And this is one of the things with especially the early real-time editing in Final Cut 5 and stuff, that was really a lag for editors and really made it kind of a hell, because you didn't know whether what the video editor was doing was what you were actually getting, which eventually led all editing companies to enable buttons for you to turn this thing off, because you didn't know what was happening with your video or the whatnot. As well, another tip, whenever you're doing some form of editing where you're applying a warp or something, you must always start from your start point. Yeah, so if, for instance, if the base you're trying to achieve is this, then you have to start with this. You need the complete data for the image you want to form first, whether you're doing it as a forward playing animation or a backward playing animation. So for instance, if you want to break a jar apart, you've got to start with the jar. I know that sounds obvious, but it's something a lot of people miss when they're looking at this stuff, and it's just good. So Anyway, back to the point I'm trying to make here. It's got this keyframeable interface, so you can do all kinds of cool animation things as long as you remember to hit this edit effects button to bring up the right panel. And it is here, and this is the most this panel and this keyframeable interface is the most important thing in video design and compositing. I mean, it is the most important thing that you use as your keyframe editor. And this is a nice interface for that. I mean, they really haven't changed it that much from Premiere Pro. I was actually surprised at how powerful it was. So yeah, that's my first look at Premiere Elements 10. Thank you for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And if you want a tutorial on any software, if it's free or low cost, or even if it's high cost, because I do have a couple of pieces of high cost software that I bought for myself over the years, please tell me, and if it's within my power to do a tutorial for you, especially if it's open source software. I love working with open source software, even though Premiere isn't open source. But yeah, please just ask, and if it's within my power to let you know, I shall. Thank you and goodbye.